Hi guys, Rebo here. I hope everyone's well, staying safe and getting back into more of a normal life. Just here doing a little video on Greenside bunker play. Something a hot topic, seen lots of people talking about it, struggling with it, not sure what ball to use to help or what spin or what shot. No massive expert myself, but I've learnt of late to stick to trying to keep it simple, but allowing the simplicity to give you some creativity. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to concentrate on the two shots that I use, which is full shot and flop shot. You can't really use a pitch or a punch, I don't believe, a pitch or a chip, but lots of people use punch. I'm not going to be doing that because it's not my ting. So I'm sticking to flop and full, and generally with those two shots you can solve most bunker equations. So I'm on practice from red tees to help us get down there. We're on 12 greens, minimal wind, Pebble Beach, and just try and put it into some bunkers. I'm going to do a little preamble first once we've put it into a bunker. See if we can get it into one first. 292, 10. It's not going to be far off full, is it? I could miss left. Anyway, we'll just knock it into a bunker if so. Oh, very kindly jumped in one for us. So, actually quite a nice little start here. So just my little preamble before is firstly about balls and club, and secondly about bunkers in general. So first thing is I'm using a 64-degree Titleist level 80, which has, I believe, 4.5 spin, maybe 4. And a 93 TaylorMade ball, which is either 4.5 spin or 4. Anyway, it's a combination of 8.5 backspin between the two. Some people who, some people will say that backspin is sort of, I'm not saying they say it's sort of cheating, but sort of you're buying easier shots, etc. I mean, I've certainly not paid for any of those. You know, if you can, winning credits and entering the right things, etc., can help you go through those things. But what I'm talking about with the difference between no spin and spin is the game is obviously built to be profitable and people to pay for things and buy things, and we get entertainment out of it, so why not? But what they've done is they've obviously put a line within the game that of the amount of spin that you kind of need to pull off shots that you would generally have in golf. So if you put Rory McIlroy in this bunker over here with a starter wedge and a starter ball, he's not going to be able to. If the ball reacted in real life to how that combination would, you're not going to be able to get it up and down ever. So it's not realistic to be playing with no backspin. Can you play with less than 8.5 combination spin? Of course you can, but the spin that I've sort of got as a combination is not just for bunker shots, it's for sort of the overall play. So obviously this video is pertinent to my ball setup and my club, and the combination of the two equaling 8.5 spin, but I think it can still help people even if your combination of spin is 6 or 6.5, just to be thinking about the right way to approach bunker shots. So that's a little bit on ball and club. The main thing about bunkers for me is generally don't go in them wherever possible. We're trying to make birdies in this game, and really the only excuse for being in a bunker is when you're going aggressive on a par 5 trying to make eagle. Obviously, not if you're early in the game as you're learning it, but once most experienced players are, if you put it into a bunker, you've pretty much cocked up the hole and costing yourself a good chance at either eagle or birdie. So in big wins, in difficult holes, I do make a point of not going in bunkers. Obviously this one with a pin in the middle and an 8 wind, you're never going to be thinking about being in this bunker or that bunker or this bunker. But if you were, and the pin was over here, and you were in 20 wind, you don't want to be over here, ever. In the rough, in the bunker, in that rough. It's just a short-sided dead shot. So if the pin was over here, what you should be trying to do is sort of play 7 or 8 feet right of it as your aim. And then your worst case scenario is a little bit right of that. So if you hit your ding and get the wind right, you're going to have 7 or 8 feet. And if you pull it left, which is the terrible shot if you've aimed at the pin and end up in the rough, if you miss it left by aiming right, then you're going to be close to the pin. So it's just being sensible when you need to be. So there's good bunkers and bad bunkers. We're obviously in a good one here. Wouldn't be terrible here. This is awful. This is awful. This is awful. This is pretty awful. Anywhere here going down this hill is doable, but you'd obviously far rather this shot. So before we get on to sort of how I build the shots, I'm just going to go through the number quickly. So I hope this shows okay on the screen because I've been struggling with that slightly. But this is just, and I'll go over this at the end, this is just showing the 2 shots that we might have to use today. The first one is a full shot from 40 or 50 sand or 30-40. And all I'm putting here is how many yards you need to add to the meter for the carry. So if you've got a 7-yard carry, you want to land it. A full shot from 40 to 50 rough, you're going to need to add 23 yards to your meter with my ball and club set up. If you're in 30 to 40 sand, you're going to need to add 17 yards to the meter. The flop shot, 40 to 50, add 14 to the meter. Now it only goes up to 20, which means your max carry from 40 to 50 on a flop shot is 6 yards. That doesn't include roll, just carry. Flop shot from 30 to 40, you need to add 12 or 13 to the meter, meaning you can only hit it full and get 7 or 8 yards carry out of it. So they're going to be the 2 shots that I'm looking at today, and I'll be deciding whether to hit full or flop based on primarily whether I need to carry it more than 6, 7 or 8 yards. If I need to carry it 9 or 10, automatically I'm going to this shot here. So this is a recap afterwards, but just to, and I'll do this on the screen. So what I personally do with bunker shots, and certainly where I started improving, was splitting it into 2. And that is looking at it as a whole, but then splitting it into basically across the middle here, or about here, and trying to think about where you want to land it, looking in the circle, and what it's going to do by landing it there on the roll to the pin. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to land it somewhere and turn it into a putt. That's the best way that I can explain it. Now, we're not getting very good angles here with the, what you really want with a bunker shot is you want to have the angle behind the pin here. So you get to see all the slope and the level. It's a much easier shot. So what we're going to be forced to do here is look at these dots here. So we've got a right to left turn, and then turn it into a putt. So we can see our right to left dots there. I'm going to turn them that way, and we can see just about that it's uphill. I mean, we know this green is uphill and this is all downhill. So what we've got is an uphill right to left putt after it lands. That's kind of how I'm thinking about the shot. So straight away, what we're looking at as a secondary part now, I'm already thinking about this rollout part afterwards. I need to get it into the right place for it to do that. So here we're talking about we can land this 7 yards. We'd always have full backsman on these shots pretty much, unless we're trying to get some more distance out of it or more roll. So what I'm trying to think of here is my max amount of carry here is 7 to 8 yards. Excuse me, 1 second. Max carry is 7 to 8 yards. So I'm only going to get it to about here by flop. And the question you have is, uphill, will a flop out of 30 to 40 lie roll the rest of the route? And the answer is, probably not. Again, it'd be easier. I mean, you can see it here. If we land it there, it's going to really struggle to get up there. It'd be much easier if we had the cam angle again at the back. So for me, this isn't the flop. I'm going to hit the flop as a mulligan afterwards just to show. In fact, why don't I just do that now? So right to left. So I'd be thinking about sort of landing it there-ish, but a flop always comes out right because of the open face. So we're then going to go back that way. Probably just a little bit more. So I'm just going to hit this full. My hunch is that it won't reach. Sorry, a full flop. So again, just going back to this very quickly. A flop shot from 30 to 40, max 7 to 8 yards carry. So max 7 to 8 yards carry here is going to be about there. So my hunch here is it will come up plenty short. Let's just see. Barely got a roll out at all. So that's uphill landing. The spin you get on the flop shot, I'm actually surprised it didn't roll at all. But that just shows, I mean, it pretty much finished a yard behind where I've expected it to. So we put ourselves back. So we know that the flop shot, we'd already decided the flop shot wasn't the right shot. So then what is the right shot? A full shot will always roll more than a flop, but this is uphill, so it's still not going to roll much. And again, I really wish we had the other angle to be able to see this better because it's so hard to predict. I mean, this could come up short too, but I'm gonna go with that. So again, I'm going to go back to the notes here. So now we're talking a full shot out of 30 to 40. I need to add 17 to the meter to where I want to carry it to. So that's 11 yards. I'm going to allow probably just a foot uphill, a yard uphill, not 2. So 12, and then I need to add 17. So we're talking, I've got full backspin on, 60 meter. We need 29 total. 11, 12, plus the 17, 29. So that's what I'm going to hit. Terrible strike because I'm on 1920, so it's a faster meter. Just show you guys that very quickly. Any of you that play beta, if you go onto the video screen, I used to play until like a few days ago in 1920. So you get this really pretty picture. It's really sharp. But if you change it to 4.3, the meter is unbelievably slower and easier to hit, even if it looks in slightly worse quality. So I've been sort of programmed the last week to hit the easier meter, hence I missed that so far wide. But anyway, look, we got perfect distance on it. Really delighted with that. Nearly went in, obviously a slight miss hit right, so we would have probably finished over here if not. But let's just hit one more. So full backspin, get our aim right for the read. Decide where we want to land it. We said 11, 12, plus 17, 29. We should get a similar result. Almost identical. So that was the thought process around that shot. It was a very easy shot, probably about as easy a bunker shot as you'll get in the game. So in this hole is one of the classic, this pin, you've got 220 yards in, the wind's 20 off the right, you're trying to get aggressive, make an eagle, you've seen you need to score low, and you end up putting it in here. And here is dead, unless you're on like 9 greens or less. You don't want anything to do with this rough or this sand. It's very hard to do because you also want to land it here because there's a roll left to right to this pin. So it is very easy to end up in that bunker. I've been over there many times, and it's, unless you hold a 20-foot putt from the fringe, I actually learned of late to just not go too aggressive at the pin and just put it into here, into sort of 15 feet, so you can still make your birdie putt. But no-go area. We will put one over there in a minute just to check. So I'm going to try and be a bit more. I haven't got my club values here, so I'm sort of guesstimating here. 138, 140, 135. So we're going to need. It's not going to go 135, is it? So we've already tried a flop and a full just to show the different effects. So really I'm just going to get into a little routine here of sort of explaining what my thought process is for each shot and see how we get along. So the first question here again is, you know, we haven't got the nice cam angle again, so it's a bit annoying. So the first decision here straight away will be the flop versus full decision. We're going to have the same problem. We can probably just about carry the rough and the fringe, but it's just too risky. There's too many things that can go wrong. It's more of a roll. We want less of a roll where possible. So I'm going to be sort of looking at the same thing again. I mean, this is a really hard. It's really visually hard for me to see what this is going to do with these camera angles here, but we're going to give it a go anyway. We know that this is uphill, but I don't think it's severely uphill. Does it turn into 4 only at the fringe? So I'm going to go with my usual kind of shot, which is just to plan to land it halfway between the fringe and the pin. So again, we need to be looking very quickly at slope. So we can see we've got some right to left towards the pin, and we can see that there's no downhill. It's very hard to see these, but they're definitely going uphill. So I'm just trying to plot where I'm landing here and then decide as if there's enough rollout to get us to the pin. Again, it's really hard angle to see, so I'm just going to sort of go by feel. This might not pay off. So we're starting to think about numbers. We've got 12 plus 3, so we're going 13, and then we go back to our sheet just to remind ourselves. Full shot, 30 to 40, add 17. It's 30 to 40 lie. We just double check that. 12, 13 plus 17 is 30, and then just go for it. So it just came out a little bit hot, landed a little bit further than we wanted, but we're inside 1 yard. Job done. I'm going to hit the flop just for sake of seeing what happens. So this time we're going to be landing more here. I'm not even sure if it gets out, but we'll soon find out. We know it's right to left, so I'm going to start there, but we also know that a flop comes out going right, so we need to aim more over there. So obviously we want max power to try and get the 8 yards out of it. And what I would imagine is it's either going to get a knifey bounce off the fringe or land a bit further up and get a really soft bounce. So it's actually landing on a downslope of the green, which give it some help, but not enough to get us to the hole. So good decision made to go with the full shot, not the flop shot. And really we just happily move on to the next hole. I'm not even going to concentrate on this putt. What are we doing? No, that's not going to be enough. Sorry, I'm not really even looking at this. So what we're going to do here is try and give ourselves a long bunker shot into this bunker here. I love how all these added camera angles are all from the tee, which are no use whatsoever. You want them on the approach shots. So we should be able to get it into this bunker, but it's the easiest aim in the world. Is that enough? So I want it to be a bit further back here, just to play a longer one. So I'm just going to hit it down here. I might have to hit it again because it'll probably find a 60 to 70 lie. Yeah, 50 to 60 lies. I'm not going to hit this out of here because we're just concentrating on the other two for the moment. So I'm just going to whiff this. So we're back in the 30 to 40 lie. Right, so this is a longer bunker shot. So we've got the same thing where we want to plan the land and the roll. What we know here is that this is all uphill. It says 6 feet elevation, which is some of this, but is also green going up, which means we're going to get less rollout. Now there's two methods to this longer bunker shot in my eyes. The first one is to do what we did before and plan sort of to land it here and then roll it up the rest. So we're sort of talking 24, 26 yards plus our 17. Obviously we're not going to be flopping this. Plus our 17. So 24, 26, 43. But there is a secondary way of doing these longer greenside bunker shots, and this involves taking a bit off or adding a bit on for the fact is it uphill or downhill. And a standard thing with my ball setting and club setting is to add 10 yards to the total distance. So here I would be doing 40 plus 2 is 42, and what I just said before with what we were doing with the other ones is about 43. The reason why I'm at 42 here, not 43, is because I'm not adding anything yet for the uphill. So what I know here is that 43, I've sort of double checked the numbers on both sides, and what I know is that sort of about 43-ish is about right. So I think it's pretty straight up that hill. So just going back to that, sort of thinking about landing it there. 26, 24 plus 2, add 17, 43. So that's the shot that I'm going to go with. Maybe just over 43 because it's uphill. So this is our 42 mark, so we're just going to go about there. And it rolls nicely up to a yard. So there's nothing really more on this green for us to be doing, I don't think. So we're going to go to the par 4 next. So this is one of these classic holes where you sort of you want to go for the pin. And I often thinking to myself, it's a difficult one because you can get yourself into a negative mindset of like, oh, I don't want to miss it over here, so then you miss it over here instead. But my brain would still be thinking, don't miss the meter right here, because this is going to be a more difficult shot, probably because it's short, you've got less room to work with. And if you're over here, it's all downhill. So this isn't a bad bunker shot to have. I'm going to put it in that one, I think. At least try and put it in that one. If it reaches. Oh, so we actually got in the next bunker. So this is good this time. I mean, sometimes it gives you feet and sometimes it gives you inches downhill. So this is an interesting one because we've got a heavy slope downhill. So this is all about sort of judging the rollout. We can see it's left to right. We've got our dots there, which makes it nice and easy to see. Really what I'm trying to think about here again is whether it's a flop shot or a full shot. Now the advantage of the flop shot is it stops quicker than the full shot, so it's definitely more in my focus here than it was on the previous holes. So now I'm trying to think. We know we've only got 8 yards max out of this, so what I'm trying to think is, if I land it here on a 14, 12, -5 slope, is it going to get all the way down to the pin? My gut says it probably will. So this is where you're trying to picture the shot again. So we know it's left to right. We know our flop's going left to right as well. So there's going to be quite a lot of turn there. So I'm going to play for quite a bit of break here. This green all tilts down this way. This could go wrong. This is one of these sort of slightly smelly ones that the longer you've played and the more experience you get on these holes, the more you basically learn it. So I could play this longer. My worry here is it's going to spin and stop too quickly. But I also worry that if I go the other way and go with more rollout, I'm going to end up in the fringe back here. So I'm going to risk the full flop and hope that we get the rollout going left to right and down that hill. So we know we need full power. We're worried about it being short, not long. So we're going to be going with a full flop here. I'm going to leave the pin in just so we can see it. So I'm aiming for break here, and I'm also aiming for the fact it's a flop, which is probably going to land about here. I still think I'm probably not allowed enough. And we're just going to hit this full power and hope it rolls down the hill. So a good decision there. Going to go back, hit the full shot. And let's see if we can get this one right as well to show that we've got 2 different options each time. So we're going to be aiming less left here because we're not flopping, but it's still going to break that way. So this should roll more, so I'm tempted to land it less. So we're looking at 8 yards. I'm going to ignore the elevation because it's only a foot. And then we're going back to our number of 17 to the meter. So we've got 8 and 17 is 25. Okay, my gut says that because of the longer rollout, we probably need to take a bit off that. So I'm going to go 24 instead. So we've landed a little bit shorter. And there you go. You get the extra rollout from the from it being full and not flop, so we chose the right thing to do with going with the flop. I mean, this isn't terrible, but it just shows you there was much less control over that shot downhill. So if it's downhill, fast greens, you definitely want to be trying to flop it. In fact, generally speaking, flops are generally the best shots to get it close. But you can only do that if you've got less than 8 yards to land it. So we'll try and play one more hole, I think. Let's see what this putt is doing. Do it twice. Some form of right to left. No idea. Just guessing. So we'll do one more hole. See if we can find this little cheeky bunker. We'll probably miss it, but 115. Is that 126? Something like that. It might be long. Get in that bunker. Ah. Actually, I'll just take a mulligan there, I think, rather than try and do it in 2 shots. Okay, so again, check the camera angles, check the distances. So we've got our 2 options here again. We've got flop, 30-40 lie. We can get that to sort of there. So we've got a similar sort of issue to previous, where it's like we can probably land it far enough, but will the flop roll out enough? I'm going to go with the answer being no, but I'm going to hit this shot quickly anyway. So again, check the dots. We know it's a left to right, and we know it's going to be uphill. So I'm going to be sort of thinking about the left to right, what that's going to do. But then also, if we're flopping, we need to be more over here. So I'm just going to go that full flop and just see what it does. My hunch says, unless it catches the downslope at the front near the fringe, it's probably going to come up a bit short, but it won't be too bad, I don't think. Yeah, we got pin high in the end. So, I mean, that might have been the right option, but what I was thinking about was I just feel like on uphill shots, you're just risking it stopping quickly. So I sort of feel like I want the run. Downhill, I want the flop and the non-run, and uphill, I want the full and the run. So I'd be looking more like full backspin there and landing it sort of here. A little bit of left to right. Let's see how that looks on the eye from here. So I think I'd be thinking about there. So we're 9 plus 3, so that's 1 more yard. 10, back to our number, 17. So we're looking at a 27-yard shot. Let's keep doing that. So, I mean, again, hitting this 27 yards to go 9 seems like an overhit. Slightly into the wind as well, so that's going to stop it a bit quicker. So sorry, 9, 10, 27. Just feel like that's a little bit long. I don't know why, but I'm just going to take a little bit off. Yeah, the gut instinct was right. I don't know what that was really. It was probably allowing a full yard for the 3 feet. That's probably the worst shot we've hit so far. So a bit of a learning curve here. It's funny how the instinct is usually pretty sharp. Let's go back and hit another one. Yeah, I mean, I know what it is now. We carried it 9, which is exactly what we were trying to do. So that wasn't the concern. The concern, what we did was we didn't allow enough for the rollout. So it was an 8-yard shot plus 1. So it was just a little bit of everything. It was a little bit. We weren't aiming back enough here. We allowed a yard for that. We just overcooked it all a little bit, really. So this time we'll just do it 8 yards. We could get a different bounce from 8 yards. So 8, 9. Got myself confused now. 8, 9, 26. That's what we hit last time. So it's 27. So we're going to go sort of 25 and a half. Bad misting, but it's going to work out quite nicely. Still gone long. So interesting learning curve there was that the flop was actually the right shot there. And that's what you've got to do sometimes, is by experience get used to which shot is the right one for that moment. And I think probably what's happened here is, I'll just have a look. So you see this is all downhill here. So the highest part of the downhill is 1.7, right? This is really quite interesting. So that's the most downhill it gets. Now it goes uphill because it's reducing downhill. 1.4, 1.3, 1.2, and we've landed it there. So that is going uphill, which means we've landed it on a downslope. So that's another little learning curve. We got the numbers right, but what we've done is we've played for this being all uphill, and what we've got is downhill to about here, and then uphill afterwards, which is why it's gone long. So there's always usually an explanation. You can sit there and go, oh, why has WGT done that to me? But if you study hard enough, you can see and learn from your mistakes. It's like, I thought I'd done everything right there, and I was sort of scratching my head going, why do the numbers not work there? And it's easy just to move on to the next hole and think you've been screwed if you missed the putt. But there's a very clear thing there that it's definitely maximum 1.7 downhill from here. So that is all uphill from where we're putting, which means we landed on a downslope. So I think that's enough for now. I'm just going to go through the recap here. 2 different shots from 2 different lies. Full shot, 40 to 50, add 23 yards to your landing point. So that's carry. If you've got 10 yards to carry it, you need to make it 33 yards on the meter, which is 55%. If you've got the 30 for 40 lie and you've got 10 yards, you want to hit it 27. That is 45%, I believe. Yeah, 10-27, yeah, it would be. And then the flop shot, you've got 40 to 50 lie, add 14 to the meter, so it will only max carry 6 yards. And from the 30 to 40 lie, add 12 or 13 to the meter, which is a maximum of 7 to 8 yards carry. Should put yards in there. Doing this so everyone can see afterwards. So I'm going to hit one more, because now we know it's a downslope. So yeah, what this green does here is you can actually almost see it. You can't get it in inches, that's the problem. So basically this is all downslope to about halfway, and then it becomes up to the pin there. So if we're going to land it on the downslope, we've got to take less. We've got to take more off than we did. But the more off we do, the more it's landing on the downslope, because it could still go as far past as it did last time. We'll soon see. So this time we're going 7 plus 17, so that's 24. Yep. Better, but all we've done is landed it on more of a downslope than we did before, so the overall thing there was to hit the flop. Because the flop, which we were worried about coming up short, got that forward bounce, which gave it the rollout to get to the hole. So really interesting little shot, and I'm really pleased that it played out like that, because that's going to make me think about that more next time in the shot. But we've hit some pretty decent bunker shots, a couple of learning points. If anybody's got any questions, feel free to shout, but I hope that helps. Pick 2 shots out that you like, full backspin them, make sure you've got some spin on your clubs, and most importantly, split it into 2. Split it into your landing zone and your rollouts, and if you do that, you'll get more creative, you'll put them together, and you'll start holding bunker shots and stiffing them more regularly than you were doing before. Any questions, give us a shout, stay safe, keep well, and talk to you soon.